BTS News Today. The sun hung low in the sky as a private jet softly touched down on the runway of a secluded island somewhere in Southeast Asia. The sound of the ocean breeze and exotic birds welcomed two figures known the world over, Jimin and Jungkook of BTS. Their faces were covered by black masks and caps pulled low, but their presence was unmistakable. The silence they had long craved seemed ready to envelop their days on this hidden island. But what they had hoped would be an escape from the spotlight slowly turned into a haunting nightmare. The first day on the island passed quietly. Jimin was seen walking alone along the beach in the morning, occasionally bending down to pick up seashells, gazing at the ocean with an empty yet peaceful stare. Jungkook sat under a coconut tree in a loose white shirt, scribbling something in the small notebook he always carried. They didn't talk much that day, perhaps from the exhaustion of travel, or maybe because silence was another form of comfort they were seeking. But by the second night, something changed. Jimin confided in Jungkook that he felt like he was being watched. He sensed shadows lurking behind the trees, and at times, small flashes of light, like those from a camera lens, would flicker in the distance. Jungkook initially dismissed it as paranoia caused by fatigue. But that same night, as they returned from dinner at a small local restaurant, they realized there were other footsteps behind them. Subtle, barely audible, but real. Jungkook immediately grabbed Jimin's hand. They quickened their pace, and the sound vanished. But the uneasy feeling didn't. The next morning, their manager, who had arrived a day later, delivered shocking news. An anonymous account on Platform X, formerly Twitter, had posted a photo of Jimin and Jungkook at the beach. The picture was taken from a distance, but it clearly showed their faces, even partially covered with masks. The caption was just one chilling sentence: "They think they're alone. They never are." Panic erupted. Armies around the world were in disbelief. How could anyone possibly know their location? The trip had been meticulously kept secret. Flights were arranged by the agency via private channels, and their resort was completely off the grid. Even the resort staff swore no one knew who the two VIP guests were. Jimin grew more anxious. He started sleeping with the lights on and asked to move his room closer to the front desk. Jungkook tried to calm him down, though deep inside, he too was growing fearful. They were not just two celebrities being chased by a camera. They were human beings trying to breathe freely. On the fourth night, everything came to a head. Around 2 a.m., strange sounds echoed outside their room. The rustling of leaves, faint cracking branches, and whispers from nowhere. Jungkook, awake and writing lyrics on the balcony, stood up. Looking toward the bushes, his heart nearly stopped. A figure in a black hoodie stood motionless between the trees, staring directly at him. Without hesitation, Jungkook rushed inside and woke Jimin. They immediately called their manager and the resort security. But by the time the security team arrived 5 minutes later, the figure had vanished. The exact spot where the figure had stood, they found only one thing: a business card with Japanese writing and a small camera icon in the corner. On the back, a chilling handwritten message: "I've followed you longer than anyone else ever could." The incident was immediately reported to the local authorities. An investigation began, but the results were unsatisfying. The CCTV cameras in the area had apparently been malfunctioning for 2 days, and there were no clear signs of anyone entering the private area. Meanwhile, the media started catching wind of the incident. Tabloid headlines speculated: were Jimin and Jungkook stalked by assassins during their secret getaway? Armies were furious. The hashtag #ProtectJiminJungkook trended worldwide. They demanded that HYB take stronger actions to protect their artists' privacy. Many expressed concerns about how such an incident might deeply affect Jimin and Jungkook's mental health. Meanwhile, the two at the center of the chaos wanted only one thing: to leave. The next morning, they were airlifted via helicopter to a new undisclosed location. But the trauma had already left a mark. During the flight, Jimin sat curled up, hugging his knees, staring silently out the window. Jungkook held his hand tightly, trying to lend strength, though his own heart pounded with unease. Days later, Jimin posted on Weverse, "There are times when the world feels too big, and we feel too small to fight it. But as long as we have each other, I know we can survive." Jungkook followed with a shorter, equally profound message: "I just want peace, not eternity in front of a camera." Their words were met with an outpouring of support from armies who promised to protect their idol's privacy. But one question remained unanswered: who was really behind the stalking? Was it just another obsessed fan, or someone with a far more dangerous intent? HYB released an official statement, saying they were cooperating with authorities and would reinforce security protocols for all their artists, especially BTS. They added that Jimin and Jungkook were safe but still recovering psychologically from the disturbing incident. Time passed, but the mystery remained. One thing was certain: peace was no longer something easily attained by two artists who had given their lives to music and love. The world had come too close, and the line between love and obsession was growing dangerously thin. Yet in the midst of it all, Jimin and Jungkook continued to hold hands in the silence. Because at the end of the day, beyond the blinding flashes and endless attention, they were still just two young men who wanted to watch the sunrise without fear. And on the next night, under a sky full of stars in their new hiding place, they sat side by side once more, still silent, but this time, with a flicker of hope slowly returning. Even though the world had seen them, who followed them remains a mystery, and that mystery is far from over. The next morning, a hotel staff member where Jimin and Jungkook had briefly stayed gave an unexpected testimony. He claimed to have seen a strange man with a long-lens camera entering the resort area through a back path, one that was actually closed to the public and very well hidden. The man walked calmly, wearing a loose t-shirt and dark sunglasses, as if he knew exactly where he was going. The staff member couldn't report it in time because he was delivering food to another guest, and by the time he returned, the man had vanished. This information was immediately passed on to the security team and local police. The investigation began by reviewing surveillance footage from a small port where supplies were delivered to the resort. Hours of footage were examined until they found him. A pale-skinned young man, tall, wearing a gray hoodie and carrying a large backpack, seen disembarking from a small, unmarked boat 2 days before the peak incident. He had entered without being registered, no name in the system, and left quietly the same night Jungkook saw a suspicious figure in the bushes. Police quickly released a composite sketch based on the footage and the staff's description. His face wasn't known to the public, but some hardcore fans began speculating on online forums. They called him Jay, a legendary Saesing who had once made headlines years ago for secretly following Taeyong all the way to Europe. Even more disturbing, the anonymous X account that first uploaded the photo of Jimin and Jungkook had been active since 2019, posting just one photo every few months, all seemingly taken from a distance, always involving the same two people, Jimin and Jungkook. As the investigation team traced the account's digital footprint, they found the server had routed through multiple countries: Japan, the Philippines, and Vietnam. This suggested a complex movement pattern, far beyond a fan who didn't know their limits.